Other of you can be ladies. Or whichever you prefer. Okay. So, I kind of approach this as a timeline. How I came to the firm decision that I never want to have children. And that I never retracted on or wavered on, I should say. I do want to start by saying I'm 46 years old, and as she said, I'm an occupational therapist, and I am the proud parent of 3 dogs, 5 cats, and a stray turtle named Shelly. I have never wanted children, and I've never wavered from this position. From as early as I can remember, I never even played with baby dolls. I went straight to naked Ken and Barbie. Clearly, I was more interested in how babies were made than with actual babies. As I grew a little older and started having interactions with children that were younger than me, I realized I really just didn't understand children. It wasn't that I didn't like them, I didn't understand them. I didn't understand how to speak to them, or sometimes I didn't understand what they were saying. That was usually the case. And they seemed extremely demanding and volatile. When I was a small child and a preteen, it became clear to me via my parents, my aunts and uncles, and other adults that children were more of a nuisance than a joy. Me and my sister, made our parents' lives hell by first keeping them up all night when we were babies, then by throwing temper tantrums when we were 3 or 4, demanding food and shelter, sassing them, having mood swings, and announcing how much we hated them out loud to their faces. I also realized that my parents struggled financially and emotionally, and I attributed that to the presence of my sister and myself. Ironically, I made most of my extra money through my teen years by babysitting, of which I hated tremendously. The youngest child that was in my care for many years was 3 years old when I first met her, and she drove me out of my fucking mind. She wanted my constant attention, and she cried all the time. Even though I thought she was extremely cute, as most little kids are, I chose to ignore her, and this drove her more insane, leading to more crying and more demands of my attention, and we just created this vicious cycle for years on end. I'm convinced she's probably still in therapy next to me. The real game changer came later when I was about 15 years old, and I was babysitting 3 hellions for a family for about 2 or 3 years. And they decided to add a 4th hellion to the mix. They entrusted my immature 15-year-old self, who had never changed a diaper, who had never checked the temperature of a water bottle or a milk bottle, to take care of their newborn child. What were they thinking? Again, I thought the baby was extremely cute, until it started demanding things from me like food, water, diaper changes, and attention. I actually remember the baby crying nonstop for hours on end, and I was at my wit's end. I was afraid that I would bring harm to the child, and I remember calling my mother in tears. It was obvious to me at that very moment that I lacked the patience for caring for a child.
Yeah, it's just you got some people still kind of coming in, but if you don't think so, go ahead.
Let's see. Oh, I don't recall. Oh no, just so you don't think I'm a heartless bitch, which I'm sure you all do at this point, I want you to know that I have a nephew and 2 nieces that I adore. My nephew is an adult and my 2 nieces are tweens right now. I admit, spent very much time with any of them, but I started to spend time with my nephew when he became an adult, because I felt like I could actually have a conversation with him. I feel bad that I don't spend time with my nieces, but I've realized it's probably best for their physical and mental well-being. I don't recall exactly when I made the conscious decision that I never wanted to have a child, but I guess it was in my late teens. I do remember voicing it to my parents and others when I was in my early 20s or so. Around that time, I met another woman of the same age who voiced the same thought, and for the first time, I felt validated regarding my choice. Incidentally, that woman and I became best friends, and we are best friends and child-free to this day. Throughout my 20s and well into my 30s, I was told I would change my mind. This infuriates me. I often think if a man said he didn't want to have a child, would somebody question his choice? I sincerely doubt it. My mother always said I would have such cute babies, of which I don't disagree. And she would occasionally try to convince me that I should have a child, Finally one day, after a few cocktails in the tropics, in my early 40s, my mother turned to me and said, "I am so glad you didn't have children. I think you would be very unhappy." And the topic never came up, but I was so grateful to actually feel validated from my husband in that regard. Many people have expressed so many opinions about such a personal choice. How dare they have an opinion that they actually speak about my personal choice? It's my life, it's not their life. One of the questions I get often is, who is going to take care of you when you get older? And to that I say, I am going to take care of myself. There are no guarantees in life, especially when it comes to your children. There is no guarantee that they will be with you throughout your life, or that they will love you, or that they will want you to, or that they will want to take care of you, or even have the means to take care of you. I used to work with the elderly in assisted living homes for many years, and so many of them had children that lived far away, that were mentally ill, that couldn't be bothered to come and visit, had no money to help them, or were just plain out of their minds. When I was working with the elderly, I decided to do my own mini research study and basically just ask people how they felt, especially if they had regrets about having children or not having children. There were very few women I met in this group that hadn't had children by choice. It wasn't very fashionable back in their day. But none of them said that they regretted their decision. Some of the key things that I noted that these women told me about that really stuck with me, not only did they not have regret, but they told me about great romances, great sex, great travels, great marriages, and the freedom that they had was priceless. And that really resonated with me. The majority of the people I interviewed that had children had no regrets, a majority. But some of the recurring things that I heard were joy, failure, disappointment, exhaustion, happiness, and bitterness. Many of my patients said that having children was their entire life and they never regretted a single day of it. Others expressed disappointment at the types of people their children had become, and disappointment at the lack of commitment and love that they received from their children. Some told sad stories of raising a disabled child, and others told stories of drug abuse, alcoholism, and mental illness. When I think about the choice I made and how it benefits my life, I realize that being child-free has allowed me to do many things that I've always wanted to do. I feel grateful that at the end of a long workday, when I'm bedraggled and tired and bitchy, I can take a nap and have some alone time. I also feel that being child-free allowed me and my husband to have the type of relationship I always wanted with a partner, a relationship that is free of certain stressors and ultimately romantic in many ways. It allows us to have random, loud... Sorry, that's okay. It allows us to have random, loud, crazy sex on kitchen counters, and allows us to get up and go and do things without extreme planning. I have no regrets about this decision that I've made, no lack of love, no fears about the future, and as much as people like to think otherwise, I have no giant empty hole in my life. Between my work, my husband, my animals, my hobbies, my friends, and everybody that I love, I feel extremely loved and ultimately extremely fulfilled.